Hi everyone, it's me, Sailor Moon, Serena, and me, Sailor Starfighter Dustin here. And today we're going to talk about how the free lights, also known as the tri-lights, how they end up being how some folks in the Sailor Moon followership do not welcome them as the first men sailor fighters. You know, for most of Sailor Moon, all the sailor fighters have been women, you know. And then by the fifth following Sailor Stars, and even in Stars, the Sailor Starlights are men. Now, a lot of Sailor Moon followers don't believe that. They believe from what the funny books say. Now, in the drawing books, they were women who somehow made themselves look like men. But then in Sailor Stars and Stars, they were men sailor fighters. And how some in the Sailor Moon followership never welcomed them as men sailor fighters. A lot of folks like to say, oh, but when they shape shifted, when they became sailor keepers or sailor fighters or whatever you want to call them, oh, they had to shape shift themselves a look. Well, does this really, no, because that was their clothing when they shape shifted, all right? That they were men sailor fighters. Sorry, but not sorry. And I know that there's a belief out there that this one little thing that the Toei business did ended up making it where the elderly now Golding's business had a freak out, and one side started bitching to the other side about how they didn't make the Sailor Starlights behave like or look like, like they did in the book. And I don't know what that was all about either. What do you think about why you not being seen as one of the first men sailor fighters out there? Well, first off, Serena or Sailor Moon, it doesn't irk me that much because I know there's always going to be those in a Sailor Moon followership that believe in only girls or women can be sailor fighters oversight. And yes, there was a saga or a tale or a belief somewhere that in between 95, while the elderly Niall Golding's business, which by the way has no website, had a rile with the Toei business over how the free lights, the trial lights, the Sailor Starlights were handled. That they didn't look or behave or do anything like they did in the books. But hey, even in Stars, we didn't really look or behave anything like we did in the books either. So I don't know what that was all about. And yeah, I was the first man sailor fighter. So was Jordan and Julian. We were the first men sailor fighters. And a lot of folks like to talk about how the only girls or only women oversight was never broken. Well, it was broken by us, the free lights, the trial lights, the Sailor Star lights, and between 95 YL. And that oversight got broken, and they could never put it back together. All right, it should have, and truth is, it should have been broken way earlier than it was. Now, I like to think that I opened the door, that Jordan and Julian, if they were here, they would say they opened the door as well for men to be sailor fighters as well. And I do know Great Eastern Glee has at least made, Sailor Star Maker or Sailor Star Healer Stall, and we need to get him one day. And if one of them were here, they would say they opened the door for men to be sailor fighters. Made it, likely opened the door for Ernest to be Sailor Earth, or for Snoop Dogg, Calvin Cosler, to be Sailor Sun, or for any man who wanted to be a sailor fighter or a sailor keeper or whatever you want to call it. And yes, it's true that some folks in the Sailor Moon followership, don't really welcome us as as men sailor fighters. But hey, that's their take. Well, I didn't know, Dustin, or a Sailor Star Fighter, that you truly believed in that, you know? And I didn't know that you thought you opened the door for men to be sailor fighters, you know? And I do onlook you for opening that door, you know, for men to be sailor fighters. Because if you stop to think of it, men could be sailor fighters too. Now, as far as this whole thing about the Aldley now Golding business and the Toei business having a business falling out due to you folks not looking or behaving like it did in the books, is there any truth to that one? Or is that just some made up folklore that someone made up in the Sailor Moon followership? I don't really know if that's true or not. And if it is, then that's kind of sad, you know. Plus, I think that at the end of the day, a lot of folks should give you onlook for being the first men sailor fighters, you know, because if it wasn't for you, Dustin, or Julian, or Jordan, I don't think we would have had Ernest as Sailor Son. I don't think we would have had Snoop Dogg, Calvin Coslar as Sailor Son, if it wasn't for you folks. Buttercup, come in, Buttercup. Well, anyway, it looks like we're gonna have. Anyway, it looks like. Sorry, my on straight. That's okay. Oh, I didn't mean it the way that it came out. Like, am I not straight in the film? Well, anyway, yeah. Well, it's a good thing we talked about this thing. You know, the good thing we talked about this thing. You know, tell me what you think about it. I, Sailor Starfighter Dustin, and with Sailor Moon Serena, we'll see you later.